This is the audio editing program that's free off the internet called Audacity, and I have it open here. And in order to get this blank open screen, you just open Audacity to click File New, and a blank gray screen will open up for you. Then you're going to import an audio file or several audio files. So I've already pre-recorded with this iPhone the one wave file that's the introduction to the podcast, the test podcast. So I have that intro wave file right here. So I'm going to import that into Audacity first and open, and my intro wave file, which is right there, bringing that in, and we're going to take a little listen to it real quick to see how it sounds.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers, a podcast for published and yet to be published writers.
And what I want to do as well is bring in the pre-recorded piece of music that's a Creative Commons piece of music that I downloaded from the internet, and I'm able to use this in my podcast with their Creative Commons license. It's about a 30-second piece of music. So here we go. Drag and drop. Make sure you're making a copy of the file before editing so it keeps the original intact. Now this on the bottom, this on the top is my personal intro with my voice. On the bottom is the music, and we can just click on this and play the music alone to hear how it sounds.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers.
So as you see, it's going to start with my voice embedded over or playing over the musical audio file. So what we want to do is position the voice in a space that we feel would be a good place to start the audio. You always want to have in your intro a little bit of audio playing out first at about 100% volume. So I'm going to move my voice over, and what you do in the toolbar is choose this two-sided arrow in order to move any audio file. So here we go, and I'm just going to click and move it to about there. So I'll give it a couple stanzas on the musical side to allow the music to play through until my voice starts. And then again, leaving space at the end for the music to come back. So we'll start right here and play it, see how it sounds all together. Now make sure that you have the up and down eye icon in order to get back to the beginning, or you can press this arrow key to skip to start. And we'll play it and see how it sounds.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers, a podcast for published and yet to be published writers, filled with interviews.
So that starting point sounds pretty good, but the issue with it at this point is the music is way too loud when the voice comes in. So here's the first few stanzas of the music right here, and then our voice starts about here, and the music is too loud in the background while the voice plays. And as you can see by these waves, it's pretty loud, pretty strong bass. So what I'm going to do here is click and then drag the duration of the music while the voice is playing, which we know the voice starts here. So it's about there. So I'm going to start lowering the volume of the music from here, and I'll just drag it to the point where I want it to be lowered. So I'm dragging that file or that mouse to about this point when I want the music to start coming back, and that's near the end of the voice file. And what we do to lower the volume is go to Effect and Amplify. You wouldn't think you'd pick Amplify, but yes, you can actually do negative decibels in the amplification. So you're going to move this dial to the left so it lowers the sound that you've highlighted a little bit. So we took it down to about 4.8, and it diminished it quite a bit, which is actually good. We'll go back to the beginning and listen to it. See how it sounds.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers, a podcast for published and yet to be published writers, filled with interviews.
That's much better. So now you can see the music is at 100%, then it drops down several decibels, so it's a lot softer, and it's a nice, easy transition. As the voice comes in, you can hear me talking over the music, and then the music comes back up to 100% at the end. So I'm going to move and reposition this just a tiny bit so the voice comes in sooner. And we have more of a transition in the tone at the end. See what we have up here.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers, a podcast for published and yet to be published writers.
Again, that sounds better. In the timing, you can play with the timing by moving that voice file back and forth to position it where you want it to be with the music or the beats. You can play with the volume or the amplification of each of the files. The voice file, which I recorded alone on this iPhone, sounds a little bit tinny to me. So what I want to do is boost the bass a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is highlight just the voice file by clicking and then pulling my mouse all the way to the end. Then I'm going to go up to Effect again, Effect, and Bass Boost. And frequency about 200 with 12 dBs. That sounds good to me. Click OK. And that's going to boost the sound a little bit, or the bass on my voice alone, so it doesn't sound so tinny. So let's give it a whirl here.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers, a podcast for published and yet to be published writers, filled with
much better. So now my voice sounds a little bit deeper. There's not as much tinny sound bouncing off the walls in the background. The reason I think that is this particular microphone, the Tascam on the iPhone, for the iPhone, is a condenser microphone, so it tends to pick up echoes and things all the way around it, whereas a microphone such as the Shure or a couple of the others that I mentioned won't pick up that surround sound or echo, and they're a little bit better for podcasting or even recording audio, unless you're out in the field, and it doesn't matter. So now I'm pretty pleased with the sound and the volume of the piece of music, as well as the bass and where I have my voice positioned. So I'm going to save the file. So in order to do that, you want to export it. So File, Export, and you're going to name it whatever you name it. Here we'll do podcast test intro. Oops. If I could spell it would help. Test intro. And I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I'm going to save it as an MP3 file because we'll be playing it on the internet, so you want to save it in a format that is conducive to playing across the internet and putting it on a server on a website. So I'm going to save that file to my desktop, podcast test intro. You can plug in your information here if you want to keep, you don't have to change copyright, change whatever you want. Doesn't matter. For this file, it's a test file. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And your tracks will be mixed down to 2 stereo channels in the exported file. That's fine. I want that to happen. Okay, and it should, yes it is. It's saving to my desktop. And we're going to go out and find that file on my messy desktop because I've been doing a lot of different projects here. Here it is. Podcast test MP3. It's going to play in my iTunes. So we'll give it a whirl here.
Welcome to Dominating Social Media for Writers, a podcast for published and yet to be published writers, filled with interviews, tips and tricks, and invaluable information on the whys and hows of social media. This is your place to learn about marketing on a limited budget. Our goal is to help you get your work seen by the masses. Come on in and join us for a cup of coffee and some conversation.
And And there you have it. That is our short little tutorial on how to mix your audio files for your intro and extra, or even furthermore, your audio files for your podcasts, right in the free piece of software called Audacity. There are many other features of Audacity that are more on the advanced level, but this is really all you need to know in order to get your audio files together and prepared to put up your own podcast. And I think that's pretty cool.